He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. Be EJ, SportsGrid draft coverage. Starts Thursday at 7:30 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, do you get rid of Booker? Because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid, and we've got here, it is draft day tonight. We've got live coverage this evening of the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. Make sure you tune in because Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi, and our SportsGrid insider Adam Caplan will be a part of the process. In addition, Adam Caplan will be with us on the show coming up in about 30 minutes from now. Also, Brad Thomas will break down the latest in the NBA. We've got Brady Kannon ahead of the PGA Championship in a few weeks, breaking down some of the events on the PGA Tour, including Zurich this week. So stay on the grid for that and a whole lot more as we discuss here on the show, very latest in Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League as well. And we'll get to that NBA scoreboard in just a minute. But let's begin with some news on DraftKings today. And a new class action lawsuit has been filed in Pennsylvania that challenges some of DraftKings' promotional tactics, which is basically based on advertising deposit bonuses. 5 customers in the suit alleges that the company's bonus terms, $1,000, $2,000 deposit matches, are intentionally complex and very misleading according to the suit, which requires excessive playthroughs that make it nearly impossible for users to benefit. So naturally, promotional bonuses coming under fire here a little bit with the company that we know here as DraftKings. We will update you as we go. But the biggest story in the NBA last night comes at the end of the game between the Rockets and Golden State Warriors. Now, the Rockets did tie up the series at 1 apiece against the Warriors, but as they return back to the Bay Area, the question's going to be, will Jimmy Butler be able to suit up? He was injured in the game last night where Golden State lost to Houston 109-94. Jalen Green was the big scorer for the Rockets. He had 38 points and 8 for 18 from 3. Steph Curry had 20, but Butler only played 8 minutes in this game. He's having an MRI on his hip today, and we'll see what his availability will be for the weekend. And as of right now, Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Warriors, says if they have to adjust, they got to get it done quickly.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, we have to, if Jimmy's out, we have to rethink, everything, like rotations and who starts and the best combinations and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we guarded well enough last game, like we said. Held them to 95. Today is 94. And really in the 80s with some late buckets they have. But that carried over well, and we knew if we took care of the ball, got some shots, we were going to knock some of those down. And obviously Jalen was a big part of that, but everybody else contributed as well. And guys were aggressive. So that's what it looks like. We hold the team to that. We should have comfortable wins like we have all season. And well, like I said, first game's out of the way. Guys got their rhythm back, got their focus, confidence, never left. But get the jitters out and have a good offensive showing. We'll be in good shape.
The number 1 seed in the East, Cleveland Cavaliers, have a 2-0 series lead in their best of 7 with the Miami Heat, although another close game yesterday. In fact, there was a point in the game where Miami was just down 2, but the final score 121 to 112. Donovan Mitchell just went off again in the second half. He had 30 points, 7 of 10 from three-point range. Tyler Hero had 33 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds as the series now shifts back to Miami, who obviously need to get a win in Game 3 or Game 4. This thing is going to be a wrap pretty quickly. But Kenny Atkinson, happy with the outcome of this game, but still seems to think the team can go to another level.
And but we got to do a better job, right? When we can't be a make or miss team. Like, oh man, we're missing, and now they're grabbing offensive rebounds, and Tyler got loose on us, So we got things to clean up, but really proud of the guys for holding their composure. They cut it to 2. You could feel the game slipping a little. We kept our composure. Obviously, helps when you got Donovan Mitchell.
Once it got to 7 or 8, I think those last 4, I think we were discouraged, just for a short period of time. And this team, they can make shots. You just have to be relentlessly consistent and stubborn. You have to continue to make those efforts and close out and get a hand to ball contest. Even if they make 4 or 5 in a row, then that means you have to show even more resolve. And so that's what will get better. Those whatever it was 4, I just remember, those were not the same efforts, and we'll clean that up.
Game 3 in Miami this weekend. Meanwhile, there will be a Game 3 in Orlando this weekend as well. 2 teams in Florida playing in the playoffs. I don't know that either has a shot, honestly. The Celtics yesterday beat the Magic without Jason Tatum, although Orlando did cover the 10-point spread, 109 to 100. Jaylen Brown had 36 points in the absence of Tatum, 10 rebounds and 5 assists. Paolo Banchero had 32 points for the Orlando Magic. It was a really close game throughout, but the Celtics once again find a way to win, and that seems to be the theme, according to Joe Mazzulla. If you can't get it done on offense, find a way on defense.
Yeah, I mean, just, both ends of the floor, just executing the game plan, being physical. Physicality is on both ends, and at the end of the day, you got to be able to win games in different ways. So I thought our guys did a good job of just making winning plays throughout the game and doing whatever it took.
A lot of adversity that we fought through, which I like for what our guys did in that situation, regardless of the circumstances, they continue to fight through. That's the resiliency of this group, the toughness of this group. Did not come out on the other end of it, but our ability to continue to fight regardless of what was happening. And again, give Boston credit. They did what they were supposed to do, take care of home court.
Well, what challenges did your team face defending without fouling tonight?
I'm not the one to answer that question. I promise I can't answer that one right now. I think there were some things that you'd like to look at and say differently. I'm not one to complain about any of it, but there's a reality that, all of our starters had 2 fouls at one point quickly, and there was time it was 16-2 in the free throw count. That's part of how the game goes, and that's what we got to learn to push through and fight through, and that's what these guys did. Now, when we get to the free throw line, we got to knock them down too. Can't miss 9 in a 9-point game.
All right, now let's get over to the National Hockey League and the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Edmonton Oilers, they've been here before. They're going to have to rally again. They're down 0-2 in their best-of-7 series with the LA Kings, 6-2 the final. Adrian Kempe had 2 third-period goals, 2 assists. Tyler Seguin scores in overtime. The Stars beat the Avalanche 2-1. They're up 2-1 in the series as well. And the Capitals beat the Montreal Canadiens 3-1 in Game 2. They now have a 2-0 series lead in their best-of-7 series. Hottest team in Major League Baseball right now, there's no doubt, fans are packing in right now to Citi Field to watch the New York Mets. They keep winning. They walk off the Phillies in the 10th inning. They've now won 7 straight games, and they're playing their best baseball of the season. 4-3, the final. Pete Alonso of the New York Mets has been starring throughout the season, been playing one of his best seasons ever, coming back on this one-year deal with the Mets, and he talks about how great things are going.
I mean, we're in it for each other. We're all playing for each other. I mean, this is a really great group. I mean, I've said it pretty much from right off the rip in spring. It's like this is a really tight knit group because we have that. There's so many guys here from the year before where it's like we have experience together, we have continuity, and then the guys that were added just kind of not just talent wise but personality wise, they just kind of gelled right in, and it's like we've been playing together for years. So it's a really special group.
Cubs beat the Dodgers again, 7-6 the final. Pete Crow Armstrong, the star, 3-run home run in the 5th inning. Also, red hot James Wood of the Washington Nationals just keeps on hitting. He's got 8 home runs now on the season. Orioles are struggling. Washington's playing well, 4-3 the final there. And the Yankees beat the Guardians 5-1. Aaron Judge is having the best start to his career in terms of batting average. Right now, he looks like he could exit the month of April batting over 400. You don't see that often. 415 batting average to start. Also, the Milwaukee Bucks made an announcement just minutes ago. Their general manager, John Horst, gets an extension. We'll see how their series goes against the Indiana Pacers. But it is draft night in the National Football League. Vinnie Iyer of Sporting News is locked in and ready to go. He'll tell us who's going where. Return next on NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Don't go away.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Hasn't been a ton of indication that Cleveland is even looking at anybody outside of Travis Hunter. The Giants, yes, have worked out Shedeur Sanders.
I do think there's going to be at least 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round. Not because they deserve to be first round, have a first round grade on them per se, but the fact that you get the extra year of control, somebody's going to slide into one of those 30, 31, or 32 slots and grab a quarterback.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball Today. Only on SportsGrid. This is Greg. He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. Be EJ. SportsGrid draft coverage starts Thursday at 7:30 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, the NFL Draft begins. We have live coverage here, of course, on SportsGrid. Make sure you tune in throughout the evening. I'll be watching our coverage as well. Vinnie Iyer will be ready to work for Sporting News, blogging, writing, doing everything that he does every year for the draft, Vinnie. It is here. It's a very strange year for a draft. I still think that there's so many talented players in this thing. I guess I'm just a little stunned that it's just the same discussions over and over again on mediums like ours and like yours, because basically it's all rumor and innuendo. There's been no trades. No teams have moved up. No teams have moved down. And we're playing the guessing game, I guess, based on the FanDuel Sportsbook. At least that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah, that's really what we have to go on at this point to know. But it looks right now, the way things are happening is the first 5 picks seem to be somewhat getting scripted here as we go along. Cam Moore to the Titans has been an overwhelming favorite. Looks like they're going to be locked into that pick. The Browns seem to key into Travis Hunter. Then you get to 3 and 4. It gets a little bit more interesting, but the Giants still like Abdul Carter. 4, I would say the Patriots still like Will Campbell. And then 5 is the bit of a shocker that's developed late in the last week is the Jaguars being heavy favorites to draft Ashton Jeanty. This is despite 4 years ago using a first-round pick on Travis Etienne. So I don't know what they're doing here exactly, but then it brings up the Raiders. Right now, the Raiders were tied to Jeanty. What are they going to do? I think they could go in many directions here for their rebuild.
Yeah, the Raiders could take Tyler Warren, I mean, you
Yeah,
never know with the Raiders.
anybody.
Oh, no, they had
Yeah.
Brock Bowers. Really? I mean, they had Meyer, and
Yeah.
then they took Bowers. The Raiders are really unpredictable. And by the way, fascinating development in the draft. By the way, I want to add this, that the least talked about player in the NFL draft is Cam Ward. I mean, crazy as it
Yeah.
seems, he's the pick. No, I can't find anybody talking about this guy. He's the number 1 pick. All right, so that being said, if indeed Jeanty goes 5, I don't think we can assume that, but for the purposes of this show, let's do it. The 6th pick in the draft would be up for Kelvin Banks Jr., Armand Membo, Jalen Walker, and Mason Graham. And if I'm not mistaken, Mason Graham was a possibility at 5 like a week ago here. So things seem to be changing, I guess, but do we really know?
Yeah, it's also hard to tell you who is the next best tackle off the board because Armand Membo has been really rising up. Kelvin Banks has kind of settled in behind Will Campbell a lot, but there's some fluctuation there. So it's really comes down to team preference. Right now, I think if they went offensive tackle, you think it's Membo. If they go defensive tackle, I think it has to be Mason Graham here that early for the Raiders. Now, the wild cards, as you mentioned, Tyler Warren is out there. Is Tedero McMillan, or like a old classic Raiders pick, Matthew Golden, an aggressive move for a speed receiver? Is that something they do? I think you can't rule out anything with this team. I mean, Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly is an interesting combination, and seeing what they're going to do, we pretty much are certain that they won't take a quarterback, or will they? We're not sure. With Geno Smith there, are they going to look at the future and, hey, should there somebody they want to stash here early, or do they want to trade down? So the Raiders, we always say the draft starts with so-and-so pick. I think it really might start with number 6 and what Las Vegas does.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And throughout the Raiders regimes, I believe all of the former GMs that have come and gone have all said the same thing, is that the Davis family makes the pick. So you could say whatever you want here, but it's not as obvious as Jerry Jones, but it does feel like Mark Davis is going to be making this pick no matter who is suggested.
Yeah.
He'll make the selection. All right, so the 10th pick is a new day for the Chicago Bears because it's Ben Johnson, but I don't know that it's necessarily a guarantee that he goes for a skill position offensive player, although those are the favorites if you look over on FanDuel. Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. I think we all at this point understand he's going to go a lot higher than was projected about a month ago. He's going to be a top 10, top 15 pick for sure. There's Jeanty if he was to fall down, and he's 5-1. Then we have Banks, Loveland, Graham, and Michael Williams makes his first appearance here at 11-1. So the narrative is going to be it's Ben Johnson, so he's going to take an offensive player. Is that the case, you think, tonight?
Well, a couple things are in play right before they pick at number 10. I mean, the Panthers have been more and more attached to Jelon Walker, the linebacker, there to make a lot of plays. And then the Saints all of a sudden have pivoted all the way from Shedeur Sanders to Michael Williams. So you'd think offense is lining up to be the best position available. And maybe the Jaguars are also creating something to say, hey, we might take Jeanty, and if you want to trade up to get him, you're going to have to do it aggressively. And look, if you want him, we'll listen. And the Raiders definitely would be the team to jump if you're the Bears, because they love Jeanty. They also like Omarion Hampton. I think it's a little bit too early to take a running back there. But when you look at it, I mean, Tyler Warren is starting to make a little bit more sense for the Bears in particular because, again, Ben Johnson uses a lot of 12 personnel. They don't really have a dedicated inside receiver that isn't Cole Kmet with Keenan Allen gone, so they could use more two tight end sets with their two receivers. Really support the heck out of Caleb Williams here, and they improve their run blocking. So they could be a better overall interior inside offense here with Ben Johnson.
All right, so the Dallas Cowboys video. Let's do this real quick before we end with the quarterbacks. So, this is a Jerry Jones pick, of course, and I think most people feel they're going to either take a wide receiver or a running back. It's very well documented at this point how they whiffed on Derrick Henry. Do you see that the position that they go?
Yeah, I think running back could be something they table a little bit here. With wide receiver, it seems like Jerry Jones is really good at drafting wide receivers. That's the one position other than like guard or tackle he seems to have the most comfort level with in the draft. So you might feel good if a Tedero McMillan drops to the Cowboys. That would be a pretty good compliment to CeeDee Lamb, who lines up off into the slot. So you get him or Matthew Golden. I think that would make a lot of sense to put them with Dak Prescott. Now, Tyler Warren could also be a sneaky drop pick there because we know how much they like to throw to the tight end, and Brian Schottenheimer has used two tight end sets before. So all kinds of interesting stuff there with the Cowboys, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to go running back, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to go secondary. So I'm thinking wide receiver is a pick for them, and Golden has been the guy rumored most to them at this point, assuming McMillan is off the board, which he may not be.
Okay. Finally, let's end with this. I'm still over 3.5 quarterbacks. I don't care what I've heard in the past 2 months. Where are you at with this?
Yeah, you're talking about first round. I mean, it's going to be there. I think the Giants will somehow end up with Jackson Dart. I don't think it's going to be a 34 overall, so I think they're going to have to move up to do that. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a surprise there, and the surprise would be Jalen Milroe.
All right, fair enough. Vinny, enjoy the draft tonight. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys.
This is Greg. He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. Be EJ. SportsGrid draft coverage starts Thursday at 7:30 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one because you're so far out of the West? Do you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return?
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Tonight, our draft coverage begins this evening on the SportsGrid network. Make sure you catch it here on SportsGrid TV. Adam Caplan's going to make his way over to our studios, along with Ben Stevens and our casted characters of crew ready to go tonight. Adam's ready for a fun night. Adam, I hope so. You know, I think as long as you've been covering the draft and I've been, watching, we're covering the draft, I don't ever remember less activity heading into the night. So I'm going to assume we're going to have the most activity during the draft. This can't just go chalk. Every team just can't take who they're slated to, right? I mean, this has to change.
Well, early on, maybe they will with the first 4 or 5 picks. But after that, Craig, it is wide open because, and I was talking to Pharrell about this, in the first round grades, these are called universal first round grades. Yes, there are 32 picks that will be made in the first round. But I only have around 12 players that have been graded with true first-round grades. That means it's not a good draft. A good draft, you'll have 20 to 22 first-round grades given out by clubs. So this is not a good draft overall. But what you and I know, we've covered this business for a long time, is yes, clubs will feel one way. But you get them in a good situation. The players that you draft late in the first round, early second, may be better down the road than you first thought. That's the unknown about the draft. What you think sometimes is not reality.
Yeah, definitely so. I used to break the Dolphins picks before they picked, and then too many people got mad at me, so I stopped after a couple of years.
Oh, yeah, I used to tip them off. When I was at ESPN, we weren't allowed to do that, and I got yelled at.
Yeah.
So, all right, I won't do that
Yeah,
anymore.
I stopped doing it too. Okay, so all right, so Cam Ward, the least talked about number 1 pick in the history of the NFL. He'll go 1 to the Titans. Never seen this before, ever. We just don't talk about the number 1 pick. Travis Hunter, we basically don't talk about him either. He's 2. Okay, so Abdul Carter, my gosh, he's 35 to 1 or 50 to 1 at this point to go 3. And then, okay, I'm going to stop there. I mean, can you guarantee me, Adam, the 4th and 5th pick are the chalk ones here with Campbell and Genty? Because the Genty one is a big switch from where we were a week ago.
It was. So let's go to Will Campbell, number 4, right? So the Patriots who need a left tackle, they don't have one. As I told Scott, the only way this won't be Will Campbell is if they really got freaked out by his lack of arm length. My understanding is that there are 5 or 6 left tackles in the National Football League that have less than 34-inch arms. And by the way, Campbell at the combine was less than 33. Those are right tackle guard arms. That's not good because it's just that little fraction of a second that the edge rusher could get into you because your arms aren't long enough. That's a concern for some clubs. In fact, I know some offensive line coaches told me that they grade him as a guard. No, I feel, though, based on what I've heard over the last week or so, that the Patriots will still stick with Will Campbell. Now, the question is, well, what would happen if there was a surprise? So right now, depending on which book, they're anywhere from -400 to -600.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen? Like where else would they go? Ashton Genty is a guy to take a look at here. Why? Because he's probably the best player on the board other than Will Campbell. And yes, they have Ramondre Stevenson, but he was drafted by Bill Belichick. Yeah. And you need to understand that you've got this new regime, this new coaching staff, and you get Genty with this young quarterback who needs help. And they'll get receivers. I know that receivers are a priority for them as the draft goes along, but it's all about helping who they believe is a franchise quarterback in Drake May.
2.5 is the number now. Are you kidding me with the quarterbacks? Oh my gosh. The number is 2.5 minus 125. I mean, I guess I'll just be wrong here. I like over 3.5 here. I'm not going to stop here. I think someone's going to move up to take Shedeur Sanders. I don't get this one at all. Jackson Dart, I think, is going to go in the first round too. And then, Adam, I totally forgot about like the bonus money, that extra fifth year that you can give to a first round pick. I think someone's going to take a row with the last pick in the first round. What am I missing?
Craig, I'm with you. I like the over 2.5. I don't know that we're going to get 4. It's the uncertainty of Jackson Dart and Shedeur Sanders. Will they go in the first round? One of them is going to go in the first round in the back of it. The Giants are the steam right now to want Jackson Dart or making sure they secure him one way or the other. So that's why a lot of people believe around the National Football League, the Giants are going to be hot on that to move up from where they're picking early in the second round to secure that franchise quarterback for the future. They've got this year solved now, at least they think, with Russell Wilson and if Jameis Winston if needed. So they want to get that quarterback of the future. And that's probably, if there's a team that's going to trade up early from the second round to the back of the first, it would be those Giants.
Yeah, I guess the fascination I have with this, and so why I'm so emphatic about it, it's the most important position in professional sports. And you mean to tell me that teams just won't take a chance to get an extra year when you literally don't know? I mean, and by the way, Adam, if it fails, so what? You moved up at the end of the first round. You do it again. Teams do it all the time.
And by the way, it's way less of a risk in the top 10. The hit rate of top 10 quarterbacks is so low. The risk rate is much better for you if you pick late first.
This is Greg. He bet a long snapper would go in the second round.
The long snapper from Florida is still waiting for his name to be called.
Now this is EJ. EJ tuned into SportsGrid's draft coverage. He checked the app, tracked the markets, followed the pros. He didn't guess. He knew. BEJ SportsGrid draft coverage starts Thursday at 7:30 p.m. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one because you're so far out of the West? Do you get rid of Booker because D-Book will bring you far more in a return?
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
In the midst of the NFL draft, we've got Stanley Cup playoffs going on. We've got the NBA playoffs. Looks like baseball got ahead of this a little bit. There aren't too many games tonight. I don't think they wanted to fight with the draft, but the NBA does. So let's pick a fight here and bring in Brad Thomas to preview some of the games tonight in the NBA. Brad, great to have you back here on NewsWire. So, hey, look, this series, you know, honestly, after 2 games has not gone the Knicks' way. I mean, the Knicks dropped the game at the Garden. And so the odds makers have adjusted. I saw this opened at Knicks -2 at Detroit's in Detroit's house tonight, and now I see -1, total of 214.5. We know that this is going to be a very emotional night for the fans in Detroit. They haven't won a home playoff game since a really long time, before shows like ours even existed, I believe. And so I don't know. That sort of tells me to take the Knicks. I got to be honest. That sort of tells me that don't get sucked into emotion here. The Knicks are the better team, but yeah, I guess the problem, Brad, with the Knicks is that they're probably going to win tonight and then lose the next one, then win the next one, then lose the next one. This is kind of who they are.
Yeah, it's tough. I think both teams are actually in a really tough position here, opening the game, right? Detroit's going to come out with a ton of energy. Like, for anybody who doesn't know, Little Caesars Arena is literally smack dab in the middle of Detroit. The last time that Detroit won a home playoff game, there was no stadium arena in downtown. Wow. You had to go to Auburn Hills, which was forever away. It's going to be an absolute crazy spot. But then the Knicks are also in a tough performance because they're coming off a loss, losing one of their home games, first 2 home games. I'm actually going to go with the Pistons first quarter, though, right? Like, I kind of agree with what you're saying. I think the Knicks are going to win the game, but I just think the amount of energy that the Pistons are going to put forth in that first quarter, right? They won the first quarter last game, and then they tied in the first quarter the game prior. It's going to be a lot to sustain that kind of energy. They win the first quarter. I want out after that because I think the Knicks can kind of recuperate and play well throughout the game and ultimately win that game. But I don't want to be any Knick player in that first quarter because the physicality, the energy level is going to be so high.
I do. I like that. I like that analysis. So how about Karl Anthony Towns? He's under fire a little bit here with the Knicks. Brunson's been carrying the team through the first couple of games. His point total over on FanDuel tonight, 21.5. Made threes, 1.5. Rebounds, 11.5. I guess predicting that he just has a huge bounce back game is the easy thing to do, but the only reliable source I see, coming through in games for them, honestly, Brad, is Brunson.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough because as a bettor, you want to look for buy low situations. And what better buy low situation than a guy who's underperformed, scored 10 points, was uh only took 11 shots, really didn't wasn't successful from three. But I think I just rather just pass on playing Karl Anthony Towns. 21 and a half is not bad, but Jalen Brunson is the man on this team. Even if you remember in the first game, Jalen Brunson started off really slow. And, he had to knock off some of that rust. He just coming back from an injury, but he still finished 30 plus points, right? He's the man who leads this team, especially down the stretch when they really need buckets. It's Jalen Brunson because he's not only scoring, by making jump shots and layups, but he's also getting to the free throw line. And that's something Karl Anthony Towns failed to really do in the first two games, only taking 2 free throws, failed to hit the line in the second game at all. So I would just back off of anything Karl Anthony Towns. I don't want a bounce back opportunity there.
Okay, so Brad, sell me on Memphis. How Memphis, let's just say, covers tonight. 8.5 points at home in a playoff game. 227 the total here. The world is definitely going to be on the Thunder. I understand that. But let's play the advocate here for the other side. Sell me on Memphis keeping this close.
Memphis has to limit the turnovers, right? 22 turnovers in the first game and 14 in the second. That's something you can't do against a Thunder team who they capitalize off turnovers, a really good transition team, but also a team they're so efficient. When they get extra possessions, they're going to score on them. I think they need to have John Morant just go absolutely insane. But I want to add another layer to this. They need Jaren Jackson to stay out of foul trouble, right? Because Jaren Jackson is that third scorer, that tertiary option for them. And Desmond Bane needs to have a Desmond Bane-esque game. He can't go out there and score under 15 points. And I think he needs to pull down at least 8 rebounds. I don't think that they're going to win or cover in this game. Right? Like, I just don't believe in this Memphis team. There's a reason they fired their coach. There's a reason there's been so much turmoil heading into the postseason. And this is a really, really good Thunder team, even on the road.
Yeah, real tough. By the way, alt line for OKC minus 12.5. You can get 1.5 on your money here at plus 150. I feel like doing that as opposed to even just taking the spread tonight. Brad, I don't know. Do you like any of these alt lines at all?
Yeah, I'd probably play them up to 14 and a half. 15-point victory sounds pretty doable. In the second game that they played was kind of interesting because it felt like a game they were up by like 20 or 30 points, right? And I kind of was like had one eye off the game by the time the fourth quarter rolled around. And if you would have told me, hey, they won by 20 plus instead of 19, I would have believed you. And then when I saw they only won by 19, I was watching the game, right? But not fully focused on it. I thought maybe they lost the fourth quarter. Maybe the Grizzlies had a really good fourth quarter. No, the Grizzlies lost the fourth quarter by 8 points. It was not a game that felt like it was within reach for the Grizzlies from start to finish. I just felt like there's going to be 2 more games of that. And the Grizzlies are going to have a lot of questions to answer in the offseason, right? How do they get better? Who's going to take over? Who's going to be the coach that kind of gets them over that hump there? Is John Morant going to be the long-term option? They're just running into a really good team, a team that is legitimately contending for an NBA title.
Yeah, definitely so, and understand that. All right, so tonight, this is an odd line here for me, given the fact that the first 2 games are so close. The Clippers are back home. They're 5-point favorites against the Nuggets with a total of 213.5. I mean, Kawhi Leonard hasn't looked this good since the Pistons won a home game. Let's just be honest. Like, he looks like the best player in the NBA right now. And if he plays like this, the Clippers are going to win the series, chance to win the championship. I've seen the story before, so I guess that's why the line is 5. But I don't know. Like, I mean, this is just sort of pouring water on Nikola Jokic too.
I feel like this is a really interesting line, given the fact that the Clippers should be up 2-0 in the series, and the Nuggets were still pretty attached in both of those games, right? Like the Nuggets won the first game. In the second game, they only lost by 3. Granted, it was at home, but maybe we do get that extra bump from being at home, opening in this brand new arena, the first home playoff game there. And the Nuggets aren't really good defensively. And what worries me about that is home teams shoot better at home, right? Especially a team that has a lot of really good 3-point shooters on there. I think that kind of worries me with the Nuggets. The Nuggets are relying a lot on Nikola Jokic. You need Jamal Murray to be better. There's a prop that I actually liked in this game. and I thought it was a little underpriced, and that was James Harden double-double in the first game, had 11 assists on 18 potential assists in a game where they didn't shoot particularly great, right? They kind of had their lulls, but in the second game, he fell under that mark while still having 11 potential assists. I think them playing at home is really going to help them. I shy away from the 5-point cover from the Clippers here, though, because this is going to be a back and forth series, whether we like it or not.
Finally, Clippers Nuggets here. Clippers minus 188 to win the series, so there's really no value to be had there. If they win by 1.5 games, plus 102. Total games played over 6.5 plus 164, under 6.5 minus 205. So really, wow, it's just telling you that this is going 7 if the best you can get is the 6.5.
Yeah, I think it goes 7, right? And the reason is Nikola Jokic, right? If he has to play one game as hard as he possibly can, put up 40, 15, and 15, he certainly can do it. And I think you got to take the over 6.5 for a little bit of money.
Last thing, Cleveland up 2-0, Boston up 2-0. Do both sweep? Do one sweep? Do none of them sweep? Last thing.
Boston sweeps. Magic can't shoot threes well enough to keep up. Miami has Spoelstra, a better coach, so they at least steal one in Miami.
All right, fair enough, Brad. Thanks again. Enjoy the games this weekend.
Take care.
All right, Brad Thomas with us. Coming up next, we've got the Zurich Classic this week on the PGA Tour. Also a major on the women's side. We will give you some picks on that coming up next as Brady Kannon joins us here on the show. So make sure you stay tuned to that. And then, of course, we'll have some last licks. Don't forget, our coverage of the NFL Draft tonight is live here on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
Here's a tip. Some machines and online games have higher average payouts than others. Want to try to maximize your odds? Well, do some research online to find games which have the highest RTP or return to player percentage. So now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats typically in your direction if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Brady Kannon has got his eyes on several tournaments this weekend. There's a lot of handicapping for Brady to do in 1 week. Normally, we just look at one tournament, the Masters or the RBC Heritage, but this week he's got several. So we don't have a lot of time, so let's get right to it. Brady, great to have you back here on NewsWire. Bit of a surprise last week at the RBC Heritage, I guess. Justin Thomas shows up and wins as a 20-1 dog at the Heritage in a playoff, Brady. And, you know, this is basically if you had that crystal ball on Justin Thomas, you would know that he's going to win a tournament, but we just never know which ones. This is probably the only one of the year, but he got it done.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's so frustrating trying to time it right with Justin Thomas, and you just know it's coming because he shoots, 62 or whatever at the Players Championship, and he looks like he's ready to be the Justin Thomas that we remember from a few years ago. This is the first win he's had in 3 years since the PGA Championship in 2022. We still know he is JT. It's just hard to pinpoint when he's going to show up. And I kick myself every time he wins, and I'm doing it again, for not landing on him because he was so close. It just doesn't look like he's ready really ever. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, of course he won.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so I know your opinion on the PGA Championship. You said you'll be fading Rory McIlroy. We're going to see him back this week at the Zurich Classic. I'm going to get you to fade him here again. I believe this has got to be right. This is the first time he's back on a golf course since winning the Masters, but there's a different format to this. I think we probably need a little bit of an explanation.
Yeah, it's a team event, a really casual, fun event that the players have really started to embrace here. And of course, it's in New Orleans. That's a lot of fun. Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy are defending champions, and they partied it up here after they won last year, and they're probably still partying from Rory's win at the Masters. Their price was extremely short here to repeat at around plus 350. So I went down the board a little bit further, and it's a really tough handicap, Craig. Typically we're given one player and one set of data statistics for that player. When you have a team element, now you have a two-headed monster. We don't have stats for how that two-headed monster performs. You have to kind of go off of what you expect out of each individual. I like to look at complementary skill sets. I took Keith Mitchell and JT Poston. Poston's got the great short game. Mitchell's great off the tee. I took Wyndham Clark and Taylor Moore. Moore great off the tee. Clark really good on and around the greens. Ben Griffin and Andrew Novak. Novak in great form, lost in the playoff to JT last week. Griffin has been very good this week. And then I took a couple of long shots who show up here at this tournament as well. There's a lot of unknown and a lot of randomness to this team event. And with the long shots, I took a couple of PGA Tour rookies, Danny Walker and Ryan Gerard, and then a couple of veterans in Doug Gim and Chan Kim. We're off to a pretty good start so far with Poston and Mitchell, and also Gerard and Walker. They're both currently tied for 7th.
Okay, so the Zurich Classic this week. We also have the first LPGA major of the season. It's the Chevron Championship, and this is again, I'm not familiar at all with this, Brady, so naturally I know you have some picks to win. Who do you think is the favorite in your mind?
Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's the old Dinah Shore, which they used to play in Rancho Mirage, California for the last couple of years rather. It has switched to the Woodlands in Texas at the club at Carlton Woods. Nelly Korda, of course, is your defending champion, the Scottie Scheffler of the ladies tour. She is actually the second choice. She is not the favorite this week, but I played 3 of the shorter shots, Lim Kim, Lauren Coughlin, and Yalimi No. And our colleague Keith Stewart, he also likes Lauren Coughlin and Lanimi No. He's been very good historically with the LPGA and his selections. They're yet to tee off today, Kim, Coughlin, and No, so you can possibly still jump in on them. And then 2 longer shots, Nana Cortez Madsen. She's even par through 11 right now. I got her at 70-1. And then another long shot, Carlota Ciganda, one of the bigger hitters on tour, her and Madsen. This course, a lot of rain here in this area, so it may favor the bigger hitters. Saganda, 1 over par through 10 holes currently, got her at 70-1 as well. Again, Kim, Coughlin, and No yet to tee off. So hopefully good rounds out of them. They were the shorter shots all around, 25-1 that I played to win this first major on the ladies circuit of the season.
Live Golf is in Mexico City this week. I know you have some selections here as well. Is it one of the favorites or a long shot?
Yeah, we're all over the place with golf this week. Mexico City, Texas, but I played actually 2 of the shorter shots and 1 a little bit longer shot. In Live, we're only selecting from roughly, 50 some players in the field. Bryson DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, and Carlos Ortiz, I think you can argue, are the three best players on the live circuit right now. Sergio Garcia already has a win this year. DeChambeau, in the final pairing there at the Masters a couple weeks ago. Ortiz has been very, very good. Just in your neck of the woods a few weeks ago before the Masters, Craig, these three players all finished top 5 at Doral, at Live Miami. And I was on all three of them. And in my handicap, I have come to the conclusion that there's a lot of similarities and a lot of similar results. Big beast of a golf course with Doral and Chapultepec, what we have here in Mexico City. So I went with the same three horses. Again, they all finished top 5 at Doral. Sergio has a tremendous history here. This used to be a part of the PGA Tour from 2017 through 2020. They used to play the WGC Mexico here at this course. Sergio finished top 10 a couple of times. Ortiz finished 16th once, and DeChambeau finished runner-up once. So they've all had good experiences at this golf course. I took DeChambeau at 6-1, Sergio at 14-1, and Carlos Ortiz at 25-1 for Live Mexico City.
So Byron Nelson is next week. I know that used to be a big event, but it's not now as big as the one the week after. Is it Truist that's after that? I think that's the next big one.
Right. The Truist is a signature event. They're going to play it in Philadelphia because normally they would be playing in Charlotte, North Carolina, but that's where the PGA Championship is the very next week, where Rory has won a number of times and where in 2017, Justin Thomas got his first major championship. So those will be the two big names coming in as we head into Charlotte, North Carolina.
Thanks again, Brady. Have a great weekend.
You too.
We'll wrap it up next.
Here's a tip. Some machines and online games have higher average payouts than others. Want to try to maximize your odds? Well, do some research online to find games which have the highest RTP or return to player percentage. So now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They're so close that we're barely going to be getting any value on the plus side of things. I think there's a little bit of value on the Blue Jays today, but it's an awesome division. Like, I don't want to see teams running away and be up by 12 games in first place. We want to see teams constantly battling for first place.
They hit a team total. I love that. So as many times as we get bad beats, you do get the same amount of good beats, typically in your direction, if you wait long enough.
Pro Baseball today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
In this day and age of subscriptions, wouldn't it be something if you signed up for some app or something online and you were charged double or triple or quadruple? You got your bill, you're like, what in the world is this? It's very hard to figure out with all these different subscriptions, but that's what happened. We'll touch on that. Also, finally a hit for a Major League Baseball player, and we'll also recap the NFL draft preview. Time now for some last licks. All right, let's begin with a gentleman who's walking through a thrift shop in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he comes across what he thinks is a pot of gold, and it actually was. I mean, if you really think about it. For those of you who are not familiar, anybody can own the Green Bay Packers, sort of. Like, you can buy what's called these stock certificates, and they end up sending you that you're like an official owner of the Green Bay Packers, publicly owned team, kind of. So this gentleman is at a thrift shop in Green Bay, and he ends up seeing a certificate just like the ones that you could purchase. But what was different about this one, it was when they first made these available back in 1950. And so the person thinks to himself, do I really want to shell out this $200 in a thrift store? And, pretty much it's impossible to find online, like how much these are worth when they're in the 50s. So the guy ends up making the purchase. And as it turns out, he did hit the jackpot, so to speak, because it's worth thousands of dollars. Now, let's get real here. This is not like catching Ohtani's 50-50 ball or anything like that, like $4 million, but it is worth a few $1,000s. And in honor of the draft being tonight in Green Bay, Wisconsin, we thought that we would give you the story. So if you're thrift shopping, you never know what you could end up picking up. I think it was kind of funny, though, by the way, that the owner of the thrift shop thought enough to put it at $200, but not enough at $3,000, which is what it was worth. Because usually, like a thrift shop, you're paying $5, $10, $15, $20. But in this case, 200 equals 3,000. So good job. Never know what you're going to get. Okay, now speaking of these apps, everybody right now is on DTR. You know what DTR stands for? Direct to consumer. DTC, sorry. I got it wrong. DTC, direct to consumer. So MASN, the network that has the Baltimore Orioles and Washington Nationals, on MASN Plus opened up the opportunity to buy directly the opportunity to watch those teams for the rest of the season. In fact, for the Orioles, it's $89.99. And this way, instead of, if you have YouTube TV, you don't get this. So you have to buy it separately. So for $90, you get to watch 162 games of the Orioles. So they opened this up a couple of weeks ago. People are buying it for $89.99, as they should, because again, you're going to want to watch your favorite baseball team. But instead of being charged $89.99, they were charged $8,999 on their credit card. What gives? Now, obviously, there's going to be a refund here. But MASN has had all kinds of issues through the years. Different fighting with who actually owns the broadcast rights. Is it the Nationals? Is it the Orioles? And then meanwhile, refunds are being issued because, again, they charged $9,000 instead of $90,000. So is it a bad look? Yes, obviously. But the good news is you get it. But again, some people, I think they have credit card limits and stuff like that. Like, didn't they notice that they were charged that much money? Kind of a bizarre story. All right. So speaking of Orioles, Chris Davis, once upon a time not that long ago, went about 0 for 50. Do you remember that? When Chris Davis, the Orioles couldn't get a hit for months. Jock Peterson was going through the same thing with the Texas Rangers. But the good news is for Jock is that his 0 for 41 is officially over. Jock Peterson on this contract that he signed with the Texas Rangers that they're probably like, what are we doing? Why did we sign Jock Peterson? Now feel, I guess, a little bit better today. He finally got a hit last night. The drought is officially over, and Jock Peterson got his hit. By the way, this looked like a ball that could have been caught. I don't know if you saw this last night, but good news for him. So streak on the back burner. It is officially over for him, and he's got his hit, and now we can all move on in life knowing that. All right, so here's what we got, folks. Tonight, we do a great job with this every single year, and we're going to have live draft coverage tonight of the NFL draft. Our guys are in our studio in New Jersey all ready to go. In fact, Adam Caplan right now is going to head on over, and you can catch Joe Lisi on the analysis, Adam Caplan on the analysis, and also Ben Stevens, who will lead our programming tonight. So that is this evening. Of course, Scott Farrell, 3 o'clock, we'll have more on that. I got to think that maybe before tonight's draft, we get a trade. Not a single trade in the NFL draft in the first round. We've had nothing. Everybody's going to be making their pick. I think that's going to change before the draft tonight. In fact, usually for us, the second we're off the air is when things start happening, and then we give it to you tomorrow. By the way, for those of you who want to stream the draft tonight, our coverage of it, download the SportsGrid app. Just take out your phone. It's available for both iOS and Android. Scan that thing right there. It's a QR code. Free streaming options of the SportsGrid app. Do you have your phone? Did you scan it? Okay, hopefully so, because scanning me. Now, people are taking a picture, Frank, of me right now. They didn't want to have that. Thanks to Brad Thomas for coming on. Thanks to, of course, all of our guests, Brady Kannon as well. Thanks to Luke and Frank. I'm Craig. See you tomorrow.